Hi, welcome everybody to the sixth Housing Repairs online show and share. Before I share with you what we're going to cover today, just to remind you why we do these show and shares. Next slide, please, Fraser. So we do these show and shares as it's an opportunity for the team to celebrate what they've achieved, demo any working software that they've built, and share information on progress made in the current sprint. But most importantly, it's an opportunity for you, our collaborators and supporters, to provide us with feedback and ask any questions, and we'll have time for that at the end. Next slide. So what we're going to cover today, in a moment, I'll remind you of who is in the core team, share our vision before handing over to Fraser Chickett, our product owner, who will give you an update on the work that we're doing with DLUC around their evaluation and monitoring framework. Fraser will then give a wider project update, touching on subjects such as new partner authority onboarding. We'll then hand over to El Villamarte, our senior engineer, who'll give you a demo of the current MVP and highlight any new functionality that we've introduced. I'll then give a general update on the progress made during the last sprint and our focus for the next, before handing back to Fraser, who'll give you an update on how to engage with the project, and then we'll have time for your questions. So just to remind you who is in the core team, we have Fraser Chickett, our product owner from Lincoln Council, myself, Paul Plimpson, delivery manager from Maytech, Leon Aki, our engagement manager from DLUC Local Digital, who are funding this project, Bhavesh Patel, lead engineer from Maytech, Wendy Banks, our business analyst from Lincoln Council, Jayed Amatajo from Southwark Council, El Villamarte, our senior engineer from Maytech, Jim Bowen, our representative of Thistle IT Group, and Mesa Canoni, engineer from Maytech. So what is our vision? Our vision is to design and build a reusable and accessible online repair reporting tool that requires no login, and most critically, residents prefer to use as it meets their needs. A tool that is integratable with various scheduling systems through open, scalable and accessible APIs, enabling, we hope, the tool to be adopted by local authorities across the UK. I'll now hand over to Fraser.
Good morning, everybody. So yeah, what we've been doing these past few weeks, one of the things I've been engaged with is talking with DLUC and trying to understand the measures and framework that we need to work within to improve the efficiency of this as a product. So they've got a framework called the Theory of Change, which we're working on with our colleagues at Southwark to complete and fill out. And it's just a nice template on here for us to think about the stages of this as a project and to focus us in on what might be some good benchmarks. We're not trying to do anything too complicated or too out there in here. We're aware that this as a product isn't going to change things, potentially like the cost of a job. We're aware that the market is up and down in those kind of areas anyway. So we'll be focusing on some of the simpler things, such as the number of calls that come through, perhaps the time of day, and the failure demand rate that's hitting our call centres. So yeah, we've got a session set up tomorrow where we'll be agreeing those benchmarks and hopefully we'll be able to share those later on. But it's just worth pointing out that anybody that wants to be part of this as a project moving forward, it's something that they'll need to consider as measuring as part of this. Just as a bit of a wider project update, working in an agile way, we have to respond to some of these outside pressures and things that we perhaps weren't really aware of in terms of the project. One thing that we're having to adapt to at the moment is that Lincoln is trialling a scheduled repairs program, which means that we're having to change the way that we're interrogating DRS so that we can pull appointments from further in the future. It just goes to show really that at the start of this, you kind of can think that you've got all the bases covered, but it's really showing the effectiveness of Agile in that we're able to respond to this as a change on here. So it's not something we're particularly concerned about at the moment, but it's something we're just investigating the best way of representing this back to the customers. And One Advance have been really quite responsive at the moment, so we're working closely with them to come up with a solution for that. We've also been working with DLUC to understand if there's a priority rule for bringing new partners on board. We've had some quite big councils that have said that they would like to be part of this as a project, and some smaller councils too. But the thing that we're really after proving in the shorter term is the ease of replication of this as a product. So we're hopefully going to be looking to some of those smaller councils to see if what we have found is that they can be a bit more responsive, a bit more, in the other sense of the word, agile in terms of changing direction. Some of the larger authorities, you know, where they've got to get more buy-in from more departments, it can take a bit longer. So we've had the approval, if you like, from DLUHC to consider that as our next approach. We've also been thinking about the support model around this, as when this goes live, is who's going to actually look after this, you know, kind of feed and water it. So because this is a more complex product out of the digital fund program that's come out at the moment, we're potentially going to be breaking this down into a few different support models. One being the API layer, which is perhaps the more complex side of this, where we'll be looking at specialist support. The common service pattern, which is something we can perhaps look after ourselves. And lastly, the user front end to this, which might sit somewhere in the middle of those things. But what we are also trying to do is come up with something that's reusable across the digital fund programs where possible, so that we're not kind of reinventing the wheel every time somebody wants to do a support model. So yeah, just wanted to give everybody the update on the kind of some of the outside pressures that we're facing at the moment on this. And at that point, I'll hand over to you, Elle.
Hi, so I'm just going to go over the the MVP. So here, when we start, we allow the users to identify whether their repair is an emergency or not. And right now we're reporting a non-emergency. Here we allow the user to select whether they're reporting a communal area or not. We are not doing repairs in communal areas right now. So it's important for them to kind of drop off there. Here we're showing our search. Now this data comes straight from Universal Housing, and every address listed here is eligible for a repair. So next we'll just select where the repair is, what the repair is, kind of being quite specific. And this is our new functionality right here where they can set a description. So if, for example, that there's a damaged cupboard door, and they can upload a photo of that repair. So for example, you choose their photo, and if they accidentally upload a cat image, they can remove that and select a normal photo of their repair. Now, if they select an image that's too large, we have clear messaging to say that it is too large and too large. If they select an image that's the wrong format, we also have some clear messaging about the formats. Now, finally, they can preview their image, and if they are happy with it, they can proceed to the next page. Here, the users will need to put in a number to be contacted on in case the council needs to rearrange the repair. And here they can put in how they would like to receive a confirmation that their repair has been booked. So it could be a text message or an email. And that's what we've been working on for the last couple of weeks. Thank you.
Thanks, Phil. So in terms of progress made in the last sprint, we've iterated our beta prototype version 4 to reflect key findings from our last round of user research. We've built MVP pages. So these were pages that were built against version 3 of the prototype and now reflect version 4. We've built new MVP pages, as we just demoed. We've investigated the DRS's ability to support scheduled repairs by area. We've also, as Fraser says, we've deepened our understanding of the DLUHC monitoring and evaluation framework, and also discussed and outlined the support model options for the new service. And as we think ahead, we've started to wireframe the council repair appointment journey, which will be forming part of the extended service pattern in the next phase. And we've set up scheduling API repository. So what will be our focus for the next sprint? Well, we will continue to build new MVP pages. We'll perform a tech spike, which will look at the integration with Universal Housing, how we can create work orders and then present those to DRS. We'll test the new DRS configuration, which will support scheduled repairs by area. We'll, as Fraser said, we'll agree metrics to measure the outcomes and impacts of the new online service. and we'll continue to have support model discussions. I'll hand back to Fraser.
Cheers, Paul. So here's my usual preach to everybody every couple of weeks in saying, please reach out to us and please get in touch. I think it's kind of ramping up in terms of the type of engagement we really are after now. It's great if you just want to be watching and monitoring this progress, but we are kind of openly active with seeking new partners in this. So if you're working for an authority or know that there's authorities out there that might want to start to engage in this, we'd be really interested in you reaching out to us. There's a contact form on our webpage, which comes through to me, so we'll pick anything up that comes from there. But as usual, we'll be posting this show and share after we've got it uploaded, and the week notes too. So again, it's something if you can please share out and like on my LinkedIn page when I push it out on there, it just helps that kind of reach and engagement on here. Thank you. And with that said, hopefully you've enjoyed that progress on there that we've made over this past week, and that we've got real first steps into a working product. You know, this isn't just a prototype as such anymore. And so, yeah, I'll open it up to the floor for questions.
So you can either unmute yourself and ask the question, or you can pop your question in the chat. Any questions? Any feedback maybe on the demo that you've seen today? No. If there are no questions or any feedback, then thank you for attending, and we look forward to seeing you all in 2 weeks' time at our next show and share. Thanks, everybody.
Cheers, everybody. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.